Hello, I'm Dawn Westmoreland, coming from Asheville, North Carolina, the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains. Good day to you. I hope wherever you are today that you're having a good day or good evening whenever you're streaming this. Today, I have Bianca Nunez, who's going to be on the show. Let me tell you about where I'm coming from. I'm coming from WPVM FM 103.7, the voice of Asheville. And my show is called The Empowered Whistleblower. We blow the whistle on things that need to be heard about the workplace and around the workplace, whether that is, an office building where somebody's working for a company or they're working for themselves. My show airs every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or any time that you're listening. So Bianca she is a coach, a consultant, a speaker. And today we're going to talk about mindset, because if you don't have a good mindset, you're probably not going to get too far. With that being said, hello, Bianca. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, this is a big question. It's loaded, Bianca. Why is mindset so important in the workplace?
Oh my goodness. How is it not important? When it comes to mindset in the workplace and just in general in life, it's something that needs to be healthy. And it's something that needs to be addressed, especially in a workplace or if you're an entrepreneur, because without the proper mindset, anything can happen and you don't know how to go with, and I don't even want to say go with the flow, but you don't know how to work with the ups and the downs that occur on the day-to-day basis.
Okay. I always like the backstory. What got you excited, passionate about, doing this coaching and consulting and speaking around mindset? What got you into that?
Yes. So making a long story short, my background is in the medical dental field for over 10 years. And I remember I just had like this feeling like there was something more that I needed to do and I just couldn't put my finger on it. And as crazy as it sounds, I just got like this huge vision that I'm supposed to be, helping women in their mindset, relationships, and finances, all with a biblical aspect. And that's where it was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. All the experiences, everything I've gone through has led up to here. It's to help with the coaching with to women when it comes to the mindset, just because seeing women specifically, not saying that men and women can't benefit from this, but just for me, my passion was to help women truly live in their purpose. And to fully be in purpose, a lot of it is mindset.
Yes. Well, you know what? We were talking before the show, and we talk about entrepreneurship, because that's also part of work. We also talk about working for a company, for example, maybe a 9-to-5 type of job. What kind of mindset does a person have to become an entrepreneur? And we're saying starting at the very beginning, Bianca.
Oh, what the oh, this is the loaded question. All right, the advice that I normally give people when they're starting off, regardless of what company that they're going in, if they're trying to be an entrepreneur, I tell them up front, you have to be strong in the sense of understand that you're not going to have it all together. Understand that you are in the learning process. Understand that you need to give yourself grace during this period. And then also go in with an expectation that you may not generate income right away because you are brand new and this is the beginning stages. So right now, all you're doing is setting the foundation. If you don't have, again, this is a loaded question and there's a lot of tidbits I can give, but I always say you need to make sure that you have the allocated funds if you truly are trying to leave a 9-to-5 and then to entrepreneurship, because that can hinder whether people drop out within the first 3 months from starting their entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, that's great advice. And let's switch gears and just, the mindset. Somebody working in a company, and, not to make it too overbroad or too generic. Let's say somebody is in the workplace and, for example, Bianca, they're not sure if they should stay in that job or move on to another. Any advice on mindset?
And that would be a career 9-to-5. Is that what you're referring to? Yes. Or you? Okay. So when it comes to that, I would say you really have to figure out what your purpose is, right? So now it's going to start within. So we're talking mindset. So you really have to figure out if that is something that you have been called to do. Is that something that you see yourself serving? I always tell people, for you to be in your purpose is all that is you serving people with your gifts. So if you're in a 9 to 5 and you feel like it's just someone's telling you that you need to change your character and that you should go against what you believe, then at that point, it is going against you. It is going against what you're mentally projecting is the right thing to do. So at that point, you need to evaluate yourself and say to yourself, okay, is this something that I can continue doing? Or do I need to make a shift and do something else? Because truthfully, there's a lot of different opportunities out there. Just because you're in that 9 to 5 career doesn't mean that it's set in stone. There are so many other things you can do.
Mm-hmm. Your purpose. And for somebody who's out there and they're still wondering whether they're young, I mean, I know people that are older, Bianca, that are still not sure what is their purpose. Any guidance on how they can figure out, hey, what's my purpose?
Yeah, pretty much like what I said in a nutshell. This is like I feel like if you were to Google, this is probably one of the most common questions that are Googled on YouTube, anywhere you can think of. Like, what is my purpose? How do I figure out my purpose? Again, it all boils down to every single person's purpose is to serve others. Again, it is just uniquely for you. What is the gift that you've been given? What is something that you're passionate or you get fired up about? That is where you figure out your purpose. I don't think one person is going to be able to tell you this is your purpose. There is no magic, place I can go to that's going to say, hey, this is what you're going to do. But when you figure out what it is that fires you up and then you feel like a calling to, I'll give you an example. So let's say that we're having a conversation and as soon as we get on this topic, I just get passionate and I just have so much to say about it. That right there could be your purpose. Now, I do believe that people don't just have one purpose. Some people can have multiple purposes and that can even change throughout the years. Like you said, there's a lot of people maybe in their 20s and 30s who started off for the career in dentistry, and then later on they realize, hey, I want to be a coach, or I want to start a new business and open up a shop or something like that. It's again, it can change, but ultimately your purpose is to serve. It's going to be you serving in your gifts.
Great. Now, sometimes we wake up, all of us, even myself, maybe we didn't get enough sleep. Or maybe, we tripped over the dog and we stubbed our toe or something like that. And we go to work, whether we work for ourselves or whether we work for, someone else. And we go to work and we're trying to shift because, we don't want to carry that energy. What's a good fix for that? What's your idea of how to switch, reframe it from a bad morning to a better morning or a good morning?
So I will recently say that I honestly had this happen already within the last couple of days. So I had to go through it myself. So it's one I want to say is if something's going wrong in your day or you feel like you're having a bad day, give yourself grace. And know that every single day you have to mentally tell yourself that every single day is not going to be a perfect day. And that's okay. Every day is going to have its ups and downs. It's taking that step back and then saying, okay, well, you know what? I'm running late today, but maybe that's okay. Maybe there would have been an accident that I just avoided. Or let's say I was an argument with my children, telling them to hurry up and get ready, and they weren't paying attention. It's like, all right, you know what? I'm grateful and thank God that I do have these amazing children that I'm stewarding over, that I'm able to help them and guide them, and turning it into like a learning lesson for those around you and yourself. But again, it's always about giving yourself grace because not every single day is going to be the greatest day. And that is okay. Just reminding yourself that of all the good, a lot of it has to do with giving yourself grace and gratitude throughout the day, right? Because again, not every day is going to be a perfect day, but just being thankful for every moment that you have.
Great. And you talk about grace, and that's a beautiful word. What does that mean to you when you say grace? So, and this is for the listeners so they understand where you're coming from.
Of course, of course. So great question. So when I say grace is like looking at yourself and just saying it is okay for ... It's not being so hard on yourself, saying that it is okay that I don't have everything together and I am grateful for what I have. So again, giving yourself grace is just saying, hey, I may or may not deserve this right here, but I am grateful that I have this and I'm going to focus on this. But it's not beating yourself up. I think we're definitely in a generation that if we don't do something right the first time, you know, and even in the workplace, whether it be your boss or your, you know, vice versa, but just looking at that person and saying, hey, I understand you made a mistake. How do we go back and fix it without just being so hard on people? Just being able to do it in a gentle but stern manner that it's still being respected, but knowing that it needs to be changed, whether it's yourself or someone else. Hopefully that makes sense. I was trying to make it kind of like in a workplace too.
Yes, it does. And you know, you also brought up gratitude, which more and more people, it seems to be a trend, Bianca, that more and more people are now focusing on gratitude. Why is that important to you?
Oh my goodness. It's so funny. I was at another friend's house yesterday and she's also a coach.
Mhm.
And we were actually talking about this. So what happens is when you tend to focus, right,
Mhm.
on one specific thing. So let's say that you're focusing on one negative thing and throughout the day or throughout the week, that is all you're focusing on. It's just consuming your mind. So then now your energy, you're just repelling all the good things that are happening. And I'm sure you've heard this example before. Let's say you just got a brand new, I don't know, a red new Corolla. You're going to always see these, you're going to go on the street and you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many red Corolla, Toyota Corollas out there. And it's the same thing. You're going to be focusing on that thing that is on top of mind. So if you're focusing on the negative that's happening, that's all that your day and your weeks and your months are going to look like. And I was just having a conversation about this with someone yesterday too. If you see a man or a woman who's 60 years old and they're grumpy, they didn't, or just bitter, like completely bitter. They didn't wake up one day completely bitter. They gradually with time became angry, became irritated, then became angry, and then it settled. And then that becomes a character. Then it becomes their personality. And then it just got them to where they are. So again, it is so important, going back to answering your question, to be grateful and have gratitude, because then that you're going to not only see the good in the midst of all the chaos that's going around us, but then you're going to appreciate the little things that you do have. That's why I think gratitude is such a big thing right now, because truthfully, it all does start with the mind. If you're focusing on the bad, that's all you're going to see. If you see the good, that's what you're going to see. That's also what you're going to attract.
Awesome. Now, for the listeners, let's say somebody's working in a company and they have a coworker who's kind of on the grumpy side, more on the negative side, and they want to get along better with them using mindset. Any tips you'd want to share?
Oh, let's see. So the grumpy coworker, who has not had that in the past? You know, again, I'm going to touch on a few things, but the one I want to start off first is going back to the grace, knowing that that person, right, may be dealing with certain things at home that we do not know, right? So yes, they may be rude, they may come off as disrespectful. Just understanding that when you go to the workplace, truthfully, you're not there to make friends, right? You are there to do a job, and in return, you're going to get paid for it. Now, obviously, you do want to have a good community. Obviously, that builds a great business, don't get me wrong. But if you have that one specific person that is always grouchy, always saying something negative, just kind of brings the mood down in the room, if you know what I'm saying, you want to kind of stay clear of that person. I would say when it comes to mindset, just knowing yourself that, again, they may be going through something at home. You don't know what's going on with them. You don't know if a family member is ill or if they're battling or facing something in their lives. And then again, when it comes to them, like you telling yourself, well, what can I do for them to kind of just maybe lighten up the mood if I can, if it's something that I can do, not necessarily saying that you're going to be Superman going in there and you're going to try to make everybody feel better. No, that's not what it is. But how can I kind of brighten up their day a little bit? What can I do for them? Hey, just even walking by, and if you know that they're rude, hey, good morning, hope you have a great day, or hey, how's the family doing? Even just doing little things like that can impact a person, you don't even realize it.
So you talked about empathy, just reaching out, as you said, Bianca, you just don't know what's going on in somebody's life. I mean, they could have lost a partner, a husband, a wife, a sister. They may have had to put down their pet or something because the pet had cancer or something like that. That's terrific advice.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you feel having a good mindset rubs off on other people?
Oh, 100%. Here's the thing. What I've noticed is misery needs company. And if you're the complete opposite of that, again, you're going to attract the right. Here's the thing. When you shine so bright, darkness repels. Okay. So what happens is when you have a great attitude, when you have a great mindset, that's exactly what you're going to give off. And if somebody can't handle that, they're going to be turned off by it, and they can't even physically probably even be next to you. It's just something that happens. So it is really important and I'm going to use it as the analogy of, shining your light, shining bright. Because again, you are going to attract those, and you also do have to be careful, because some people, it's like the bugs at night, right? You turn on that light and they see the light and they go to the light, even though they're not, even though they may not be good for you, they may be attracted to your light. So you do have to be mindful too, and have standards and boundaries for yourself when those people do come in, because not everybody that comes, in close proximity are the right people for you either. But again, it does make a huge difference when you let your light shine bright.
And I have to say, I smiled extra because growing up in Florida on water, we always had extra bugs. And I remember my mom saying, turn the light off outside. Don't attract the bugs inside.
Yes. Unless you have the one that you turn on and it's the zapper, and then the light turns on and they get rid of them. But that's not the person that we want to be. We don't want to be the one that kills everybody. Right. Okay.
It was a great metaphor that brought us all in. Yes. Okay. So you talked about boundaries, and oh boy, is that a great subject for so many people. Gosh, let's get into that subject, Bianca. To have a good mindset, but to have boundaries, what does that look like?
Have a good mindset and have good boundaries as well. Oh, I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like I can speak on that, Dawn, for hours. So I'm gonna keep it short.
We might have to bring you back, Bianca.
So when it comes to setting boundaries, it is something that is essential. Essential. In order for you to have a great work environment or just have a great lifestyle, if you don't have boundaries set in place, just like I mentioned, you're going to allow any person or any idea come into you or your mind that may not resonate with you, that may not sit well with you, and then internally change who you are or how you act on something else. So I want to see if I can give an example. So let's say that in a workplace, let's see what I can give. So let's say if I'm at a workplace and there's people saying, well, let's kind of manipulate the numbers on this, right? And you're like, no, I don't think that is a good idea. That goes against who you are. But if you don't have set boundaries, you can allow what they're telling you and how good of an idea it is influence you to then change your character and then fall into what they are doing. That's why it is so important to have boundaries, because yes is yes and no is no. There is no wavering back and forth trying to figure out, should I do this? Should I not do this? There's a lot of me in an entrepreneurial standpoint. I've had a lot of people come up to me with business offer. I have 2 businesses, and I've had people come up to me with, different business opportunities, and I straight up tell them, this is not in alignment with me. I love what you're doing. I think you're going to be successful at it. You keep going. Whatever I can do to help you get to where you need to get to, or to motivate you, I'm here for you. But that is not in alignment with me. And it's just a no. And that's okay. It is okay to tell people no. But learning how to have that boundary, and that may even be just the first step for some people. You want to set a boundary? Start learning how to say no.
Yes, that's a good example. I have to ask you, was it hard in the beginning to have boundaries? And I'm asking you, was it a challenge?
Oh, 100%. So I'm the type of person that would wear her heart on her sleeves, as some people would say, right? So I'm always like seeing the good in everyone. So if I seen that everything was bad, but there was like that one little piece of thing that was good in you, I would see that one little thing that was good. What happened is, again, I didn't have any boundaries. So I was allowing certain people to come into my circle, whether that was in relationships. And when I say relationships, those are business partnerships. Okay. That was in my mindset. By them saying certain things, was I allowing myself to make different decisions and an opportunity that I should have did. So it makes, when it comes to boundaries, it makes a huge difference. And for me, yes, I have faced that in the past. And it was something that was not easy, but it truly starts with yourself and learning to say, I love myself enough that I need to set boundaries. There is a reason why they have fences around electrical equipment, and it says warning. There is a boundary there for your protection. So boundaries, just like for us, are there for our protections as well. Whether we set that up emotionally or mentally, we need to have those things.
Yeah. And I like that example of electrical, the grid and, the boundaries and such. Now, some people are a little bit on the quiet side. They may be introverted. They may be passive. They may have grown up with, like I grew up in the South where everybody always had to be gracious, even when you didn't want to be gracious. You hear a Southern.
Yep.
But what is somebody's having a hard time even starting to set boundaries? I mean, they could be young, they could be older. I've met all kinds of people at all ages.
Oh, yes.
What some of the first steps to start, just to be able to say, no, that's not okay. No, I'm not going to do that.
I think a lot of people realize it when they get to the point that they've had enough. They have gone through a lot of things in their lives, right? Where they have allowed certain things to happen, and then you can only blame yourself for where you are at that point because you allowed it. So a lot of it, sometimes it does take people to go through hardships for them to realize that they needed to set boundaries and needed to have a healthy mindset. But it's when you realize, I would say, truthfully, hope the easiest way, instead of having to learn through your own mistakes, is to take advice or just hear what people have gone through, or realizing the value that you have, who you are, how precious of a person you are. You are here on this earth because you have been given a purpose. And when you realize that certain things or people can hinder you from walking in your purpose to serve people with the gift that you have, that you can't just allow anything or anyone to sway you or to change you or to try to mold you into something that you're not. And I think that would be, and it's something that you can still be very humble.
Mm-hmm.
I know that is something that's very big as well. Like a lot of people, well, I'm not arrogant. I don't speak loud. I just kind of go with the flow. That is perfectly fine. But again, you have to realize that you are then going to open yourself up to certain things that you may not have needed to go through. And then in return, because of it, then you're going to realize that you're going to need to set those boundaries. So it's again, realizing that not everything is for you and that you have to truly care about yourself first. And in order for you to care, think about it like this. When you're on a plane, I know I'm getting a lot of analogies. When you're on a plane and something's going wrong and the mask comes down, the first thing they tell you is to put it on yourself, right? If you want to help the people around you, you have to be able to help them. But the only way you can help them is if you're able to breathe yourself. So when you realize that you truly are important, because I think a lot of us tend to see like the value in everybody else, but then we're hard on ourselves. Again, we don't give ourselves enough grace. And then we're hard on ourselves and we're like, I kind of, can't tell them no because I'm going to hurt their feelings. Guess what? It's going to later hurt them and probably you if you don't say no.
Awesome advice.
Listen, that was like all in a nutshell. I was trying to like bring it all in for as short of time as I possibly could.
And this is something that many people need to hear, even when they do have good boundaries, because the facts are sometimes we just get going down in life and we kind of forget. We may soften and we may say yes to things we really don't want just because, we're gracious, we're good people and such. So let me ask you, do you think women have to overcome more with mindsets? And this is just your opinion. Do they have to overcome more obstacles with mindsets?
Yes. and here's my experience. Working when in the health insurance industry, it's very male dominated. So I'm just going to give you even my experience with it as well, because again, we're talking about my opinion here and experience. So men, it's easier for if they don't want to do something or it's not in alignment with them, they just say no. It is very straightforward. I think with women, we tend to then be a little bit more analytical and start thinking, well, should I? And then it's the analytical can be very quick. And then this is the big piece. It's the emotional portion of it. Well, how is that going to make them feel if I tell them no? How would that make me feel if I tell them no? These aren't questions that we're asking ourselves, but these are things that we're internally going through subconsciously. And so it is harder, from my experience, for women to say no to certain things because we are more of that loving type of person. We are biologically the nurturers, where we're wanting to help, wanting to do more, wanting to give more. And yes, that is great. But again, what are you then sacrificing by saying yes to everything? Because if you're saying yes to everything, you're spreading yourself thin. And how good are you truly going to be to those that you are serving if you're barely having enough attention for each thing you've been delegated? Mm-hmm. And even for yourself and for your family, because even with what you're taking on at work or at home or vice versa, we're piling all these things on ourselves. I see women that are saying, I just work like 5 hours, and they're working moms, entrepreneurial. It's like, and you're trying to take care of yourself and then sports and this and that. And it's like, say no. It's okay to say no. And another thing, saying no doesn't mean it's forever a no. It could just simply mean no, not right now.
Right. And I got to jump in. We're down to our last 20 seconds. Tell us where we can find you, your contact information.
Yes, you can go to iambiancaemily.com, and Bianca Emily is spelled Emely. So iambiancaemily.com if you want to reach out to me.
Thank you, Bianca. And to our listeners, stay empowered.